So how are you feeling? We're just a few weeks away, 20 plus days away from the election. How do you feel about the race?
I feel great. We're leading in all swing states. We're leading mostly in nationals, I think. You know, I'm a believer in polls. Some of them are fake, like a lot of writers. But I'm a believer in polls, and we're leading in just about every swing state. I think we're leading now in every swing state. And she can't talk. There's something wrong with the candidate, but I'll take it. But we have, I think we're doing very well, yeah.
What do you want to say to those voters out there who might be undecided, who don't know what they're going to do yet?
Well, I think we're going to have a lot of votes. We have something sort of special going on. We have tremendous support. They're so tired of seeing what's happened to this country. They're so tired of seeing the incompetence, seeing the border. And I think the border is maybe a bigger deal than even inflation. Inflation is a massive word. The bad economy is massive. The inflation made the economy bad. It made it impossible for people. But I almost think that when they see millions of people coming into our country, 13,099 murderers, many of them murdered more than one person. When they see that, I actually think I think the border is a bigger issue than even the economy. Those are the two big issues.
It's had such an impact, the open border.
And the other issue that's really big, I think, is how badly they've done with North Carolina, parts of Georgia. When you look at what's happened, and Florida, we'll see what's happening there. I think we got a little bit lucky in the sense that it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as they thought. And a lot of governors have done a good job, but the response from the White House has been absolutely terrible. Her response has been terrible, so bad that they didn't even want. I see Ron didn't want her in Florida. Said, just don't even come here. So I think we're doing really well, you know.
And of course, President Biden is blaming you for this bad response to these hurricanes, and the White House is calling it all misinformation.
They blame me for everything, and it's okay. When you look at our numbers, when you look at our economy, when you look at our job numbers, every single chart that you put up, we beat them by numbers that nobody's ever seen. We had the best economy in history. We had the best job numbers in history, and we had the best border in history. We rebuilt the military, and then he gave away a lot of it to the Afghans. If he gave it to, the Taliban, I think in the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And then when you think about it, I think Putin really just said, hey, this is a good time because these people are incompetent. Putin would never have gone into Ukraine. October 7th would have never happened. And you know what else? Inflation wouldn't have happened.
Do you believe that they used money from FEMA and gave it to the illegal immigrants? Because the White House is saying that that was misinformation as well.
No, it came out from there, and everybody knew it, and it was released from them. Then all of a sudden, a week later, they come out with a different scenario. And they have so many different pots of money, they just, it just melds. Nobody knows it. Nobody has any idea. That group has no idea what's happening. Look, it's the worst president and the worst vice president in the history of our country. They're horrible. And he can't stand her for one simple reason. She overthrew him. But she didn't do it. The party did. Call it the deep state, whatever it is, but the party did it. And it was really a coup. And he is a very angry guy. And actually, I think he looks better now because now we're comparing him to her. And for the first time, he looks a little bit better. But he's a very angry guy. Look, he got 14, I'm not a fan, but he got 14 million votes. She got no votes. She never made it to Iowa. She was the first one out of 22 people running. She was the first one to drop out. We seem to be up in the swing states in every one of them. And it doesn't matter. Look, I've worked 32 days in a row. And we have another 25, and I intend to work every one of them. I'm not going to take days off. Let's take a little vacation, everybody, right? We're running to save our country, so we're not going to be taking any vacations. We had such a day a little while ago in Butler. You saw that we had 101,000 people show up. 101,000 people. A tribute to Corey, the firefighter, and a tribute to a lot of things. And it was an amazing, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, actually.
Well, the pictures were incredible. Are you able to register some of those people to vote?
Yeah.
Are you getting those ballots in the boxes?
We do. We register a lot of people when we do rallies and when we do things like that. And we have the endorsement of Elon, as you know, Elon Musk, who's great. He's a great guy. He had such a good time. He put the black hat on. I didn't even...
Dark MAGA.
He calls it dark MAGA. How cool is that, right? He calls it dark. He's a great guy. But he's given us a really powerful endorsement. He's out campaigning in Pennsylvania today. He's actually campaigning because he says if we don't win, we're not going to have a country.
He said this will be the last election if Donald Trump doesn't win. He's very worried about freedom of speech, censorship.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can do about that?
Well, I think that we just have to win. The only thing you can do is to win. No, these are bad people. And they're surrounded by very bad people. I think they're surrounded by much worse people than they are. Joe didn't really know too much about where he was, and Kamala's worse than him. Joe is much more competent than her.
Gallup polling says only 57% of Americans are very or somewhat confident that their votes this year will be accurately cast and counted.
Well, probably
The
right.
percentage who say they are not at all confident in the vote is now 19%. It was 6% in 2008.
I don't feel confident. When you have mail-in voting, Jimmy Carter had a commission on it. Nobody does mail-in voting. Now, you look at other countries, France, they go to paper ballots. France had it, and they had a lot of problems.
But you don't want to discourage people from mail-in voting.
No, I don't. Look, we have to win the election, then we have to really fix this whole thing because you need borders. I built 571 miles of wall, and they sold the wall for 5 cents on the dollar. You know, it's very expensive. It's exactly what Border Patrol wanted. They sold the wall for 5 cents on the dollar. And I said, you know, they want open borders. They want open borders, and they're always going to want, and she's always going to want open borders. That's the $64,000 question. Why? I have no idea. Maybe they hate our country.
One of the elements of the border has brought in Tren de Aragua, this Venezuelan gang, quite dangerous. You told us about this.
Not quite. You could take the word, it's just pure dangerous. They're evil.
And you told us this back in 2015 and 2016, that Venezuela was emptying their prisons and they were coming here, and you were mocked for it. How did you know back then that these Venezuelan gangs were coming to America?
Common sense. It's just common sense. If I'm running Venezuela like their gentleman who's becoming very rich because we're buying oil from Venezuela. You can believe this? We have more liquid gold under our feet than anybody else, and we're buying oil from Venezuela. He's emptying out his prisons, but he's not the only one. It's not Venezuela. It's everyone all over the world. The Congo in Africa, we've taken in hundreds of people from their prisons. The Congo, all the way in Africa. Many, many countries. The Middle East, we're taking in massive numbers of people and many terrorists, and they're coming into our country, and they're Middle Eastern terrorists. And from Asia, we're taking in, and a lot from South America.
There was an Afghan refugee charged with plotting U.S. Election Day massacre.
Nothing surprises me.
What about that, though? Are you expecting chaos on Election Day?
No, I don't think so. Not from the side that votes for Trump.
But I'm just wondering if these outside agitators will start up on Election Day. Let's say you win. I mean, let's remember, you've got 50,000 Chinese nationals in this country in the last couple of years. Yeah. You've got people on the terrorist watch list, 350 in the last couple of years. You've got, like you said, 13,000 murderers and 15,000 rapists. Right. What are you expecting? Joe Biden said he doesn't think it's going to be a peaceful Election Day.
Well, he doesn't have any idea what's happening in all fairness. He spends most of his day sleeping. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of Election Day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.